What if the story we told ourselves about Harry Styles' colossal hit, as it was, isn't the real story at all? We heard the shimmering synths, the driving beat, the instantly catchy melody that dominated airwaves and streaming charts globally. It sounded like nostalgia, maybe bittersweet, maybe just reflective. The kind of song you dance to, windows down, feeling a pang of something you can't quite name. But what if that feeling, that subtle ache beneath the surface, wasn't about someone else, but about the person Harry Styles used to be? The person he knows, perhaps with a quiet certainty, he can never fully get back? What if, as it was, wasn't a breakup song aimed at a lost lover, or a cryptic message to an ex? What if it was a quiet admission, hiding in plain sight, a eulogy for the self inevitably altered, perhaps even swallowed by the blinding spotlight? The version of himself lost somewhere between the boy from Holmes Chapel and the global icon. And the most startling part? He laid it all bare, weaving it into the fabric of a song designed for mass consumption. But were we truly listening? Or were we too busy dancing? In our last video, we touched upon the unexpected emotional weight of, as it was, how this seemingly upbeat track, wrapped in those bright 80s-inspired synths, left so many listeners feeling surprisingly melancholic. We talked about that dissonance, the sonic joy versus the lyrical undertow. But the deeper we listened, the more we peeled back the layers, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a simple narrative of lost romance. The clues pointed toward something far more introspective, something intensely personal, something quietly unraveling beneath the carefully curated, yet undeniably charming public persona of Harry Styles. Today, we're diving even deeper. We're going beyond the surface-level interpretations and exploring the compelling argument that the Harry Styles who penned, as it was, wasn't just nursing a broken heart in the traditional sense. He was quietly, profoundly, mourning his own disappearance into the stratosphere of fame. Number 1. The line that points inward. Let's start with the anchor, the line that resonates long after the song ends. You know it's not the same as it was. On first, second, even 10th listen, our minds naturally gravitate towards relationships. A love lost, a dynamic shifted, a connection faded. It's the universal language of breakup anthems. But now, consciously shift the lens. Turn it inward. Imagine Harry isn't speaking to someone else, but about himself. Imagine him reflecting not on a partner who changed, but on the fundamental, irreversible changes within him. He's not yearning for a lost lover, but for a version of himself he can never fully reclaim, the Harry before the hurricane of global fame hit. The boy from Holmes Chapel, Cheshire, perhaps a bit mischievous, undoubtedly talented, but fundamentally ordinary in his privacy. Someone who knew simplicity, anonymity, the freedom of not having every move, every word, every outfit choice dissected by millions. Picture this vividly. It's not just a hypothetical. Imagine Harry post-show, the roar of the crowd still echoing faintly in his ears, standing alone in a sterile hotel room. He catches his reflection in a mirror, maybe scrolling through photos from the night, and feels a pang of unfamiliarity. The face staring back is his, but the life attached to it, the weight of expectation, the constant performance, it feels increasingly foreign. It's not just nostalgia, it's a deeper, more existential ache. It's the stark, perhaps terrifying realization that the more globally recognized Harry Styles became, the less the person behind the name felt connected to his own roots, his own unobserved self. The melody might be upbeat, but the delivery of that line often carries a subtle weariness, a resigned understanding. Number 2. The echo chamber of lockdown. Context is crucial here, and it deepens the resonance significantly. As it was, emerged from the writing process for the album Harry's House, much of which took shape during the unprecedented global lockdowns. Harry, like many, found himself suddenly grounded, isolated, reportedly spending significant time in America, far from his family, his hometown, his foundational history. For someone whose life for a decade had been defined by relentless motion, touring, recording, promotion, the constant hum of adoration and scrutiny, this enforced stillness must have been jarring. The noise stopped. The applause, the screaming fans, the travel, the carefully scheduled chaos, it all ceased. Harry was thrust into a period of unprecedented silence and solitude. Imagine the profound discomfort of that stillness. After years defined by external validation and perpetual movement, being alone with only your thoughts can be confronting. Suddenly, the internal landscape becomes much louder. Consider the lyrics. Answer the phone, Harry, you're no good alone. Why are you sitting at home on the floor? What kind of pills are you on? While potentially referencing concerned calls, It also paints a picture of intense introspection, maybe even a struggle with the quiet. And then go home, get ahead, light-speed internet. On the surface, mundane phrases. But dig deeper. Could these represent the frantic, almost compulsive thoughts of someone trying to escape that unnerving introspection? The need to achieve, to distract oneself with the digital noise when the real-world noise has faded? The phrase "I don't want to talk about the way it was" suddenly feels less like romantic bitterness and more like profound weariness. It's the exhaustion of constantly confronting a past self and a past life that feels increasingly inaccessible, perhaps even painful to dwell on because the contrast to the present is so stark. The lockdown wasn't just a pause, it was a crucible, forcing a confrontation with the self that fame usually allows one to outrun. Number 3. When fame becomes a fracturing mirror. Harry Styles cultivated an image built, paradoxically, on authenticity and a seeming openness. He played with fashion, embraced fluidity, and presented a persona that felt both aspirational and approachable. He invited us in. But the very nature of modern hypervisible fame means that the image can become a cage, a construct that inevitably distances the public figure from the private person. Fame doesn't just elevate, it isolates. It builds walls even as it commands stages. It creates internal divisions, fracturing the connection one has with their unmediated true self. The pressure to maintain the persona, to meet expectations, to be Harry Styles, can chip away at the person underneath. Now let's revisit that much-discussed line, "Leave America, 2 kids follow her." The immediate, widely circulated interpretation linked this directly to his relationship at the time with Olivia Wilde and her children. It fit a convenient narrative. But let's entertain the alternative, the one that aligns with our central theme. What if America represents the epicenter of his global fame, the machine? What if her isn't a specific woman, but a personification of fame itself, alluring, demanding, life-altering? And the 2 kids? Perhaps they aren't literal children, but symbolic representations of the fractured self fame creates, the public-facing global icon and the fading, increasingly distant original self. 2 distinct entities now trailing in the wake of his celebrity. Visualize this internal conflict: Harry Styles, the charismatic performer, embracing the adoration, versus Harry, the young man from Cheshire, feeling increasingly like a ghost in his own life. This interpretation paints the line not as relationship commentary, but as a poignant metaphor for the splintering effect of overwhelming fame. He's observing his own life, recognizing the pieces that now follow the entity he has become. The mirror fame holds up isn't flat, it's fractured, reflecting distorted, incomplete versions of the self. Number 4. The vulnerable whisper, "I'm staying." Moments in live performance can offer unguarded glimpses into an artist's state of mind. During a notable performance of As It Was, Coachella 2022 comes to mind for many. Amidst the spectacle and the energy, Harry softly, almost imperceptibly, whispered the words "I'm staying" near the song's conclusion. To the massive crowd, this might have registered as a reassurance. "I'm here with you, I'm present in this moment," the show goes on. It feels like a connection to the audience. But hold that thought, and layer our interpretation on top. Imagine, for a moment, this wasn't primarily for the audience. Imagine this was a deeply personal mantra, an anchor tossed to himself amid the swirling emotional turbulence expressed in the song. Visualize that specific vulnerability, the global superstar, bathed in light, adored by thousands, needing to quietly remind himself that he's not going to completely lose his grip, that he's not going to disappear entirely into the persona or the pressure. It's him clinging desperately to some semblance of inner stability, a foothold amidst the overwhelming external storm of fame and the internal lament for what was. This quiet phrase, easily missed or misinterpreted, transforms from simple stage presence into a potentially profound act of self-preservation. A plea whispered from the very heart of his struggle: "I'm still here. I will endure." Number 5. The universal echo, "It reflects us." Perhaps the ultimate reason As It Was resonated so profoundly across the globe, beyond the undeniable catchiness, is that Harry's specific, high-profile internal struggle taps into something fundamentally, universally human. Strip away the specifics of global superstardom, the sold-out arenas, the designer clothes. Haven't we all experienced that eerie, unsettling sensation of encountering our past selves, through old photos, memories, or visiting familiar places, and feeling a profound sense of disconnection? That feeling of "that was me, but it's not me anymore"? Haven't we all revisited childhood homes, old schools, or hometown haunts, only to find that we no longer fit? The place might be the same, but we've changed in ways that make reconnection feel impossible, tinged with a sadness for the person who once belonged there so effortlessly. Life sculpts us, experiences mold us. Time inevitably creates distance from the people we used to be. Visualize your own past. Think of moments when you felt acutely estranged from who you once were. After a major life change, a loss, a significant move, or even just the slow, steady march of growing older. Suddenly, Harry's lyrics, viewed through this lens, become our story too. In this world, it's just us, you know it's not the same as it was. The us might not be a couple, but the present self and the ghost of the past self, coexisting in the same world but fundamentally changed. It becomes a universal anthem for navigating change, loss, and the complex, sometimes melancholic process of personal evolution. The song's power lies in its ability to hold his specific truth and our shared human experience simultaneously. So, as it was. A chart-topping, record-breaking, seemingly joyful pop song. But listen again. Listen closer. Is it possible we've been dancing to one of the most honestly expressed laments about the isolating, identity-altering nature of modern fame ever recorded? It's not just a farewell to a romantic partner. It's arguably a profound, deeply personal goodbye to a former self. A stark, vulnerable admission that the innocent, unobserved, uncomplicated version of Harry Styles, the one that existed before the world decided it knew him, no longer exists in the same way. He can't go back. But perhaps within this acknowledgement of loss, something richer, more complex emerges. Not necessarily a recovered identity, but a new self being consciously crafted, one built on navigating these contradictions, embracing the melancholy alongside the joy, finding authenticity within the strange reality of his life. Maybe the beauty and the ache of, as it was, lie in its disguise. It's an elegy cleverly masked as a dance anthem, a confession wrapped in synths. And maybe that's why it hits so deeply, why that undercurrent of sadness feels so potent, because on some level, we recognize the truth in it. We didn't lose Harry to a breakup. But perhaps in becoming the Harry Styles we know today, he had to let go of the Harry he once was. And that process, as the song suggests, wasn't painless. What do you think? Did this exploration change how you hear, as it was? Does the idea of it being about losing himself resonate more than the breakup narrative? Let us know your thoughts. Maybe drop a mirror emoji in the comments if this perspective shifted something for you. We love diving deep into the emotional layers and hidden meanings in music here. For more insights like this, exploring the stories behind the songs, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Join our community of thoughtful listeners and storytellers. Thanks for watching.